Hi everyone, welcome back to Civil War Monitors Behind the Lines. I'm your host, David Thompson. I'm joined today by JP Terry, who is the CEO of Smartdoc Technologies and the developer of the Gettysburg 150 app. So JP, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Dave.
Very exciting as we move into technology and the Civil War coming together here. I wonder if you could just give us a bit of a broad overview of really what the Gettysburg 150 app is all about.
Sure. Well, it's a simple idea. We just wanted to combine the best Civil War history along with the GPS that's built into your iPhone and Android device so that when you're on the battlefield, you can press one button and find out exactly what happened in your present location.
What really spurred this idea? How did this really come about as a way to kind of merge interests, if you will, with Civil War and technology?
Well, so of course, as you can imagine, my kids were very interested in technology, but had almost zero interest in the Civil War. So we would stop by Civil War battlefields and they wouldn't even leave the car. So would stay in the car with their iPhones or iPads, their Android devices. So we decided we were going to, use those and really make the battlefield come alive for them, so that all the information that is available, should be available immediately. That's really how they want to use and consume information. So they want to know what they're looking at and what happened in that location. And so then the battlefield becomes exciting to them. And so we build all that into the app.
And I wonder if you could maybe walk us through a little bit of just what some of these features are for this app, as you mentioned again, for iPhone and Android devices.
Sure. So I'm holding a Google Nexus Android in my hand right now, but let me show you because I think it'll come over a little clearer. This is actually an iPhone, and this is the iPhone app, and it's a little bit larger on the iPad. We'll show you some screenshots to make it clear, but as you'll see when you go into the iPhone, there's a couple of main features. One is the auto stops, and so we'll guide you through Gettysburg based on the park's auto stops. So you can go into any of the auto stops. I'll go to the Virginia auto stop, and it'll show you locations you can see at the auto stop. And if we pick Virginia Memorial, it'll tell us about the memorial, and then it will show us on the GPS map exactly where the memorial is. So if you remember back to the discussion last year between Apple and Google, there are actually two mapping programs. One is the Apple mapping program, and so we use that for the iOS devices, for the iPad and iPhone. And then Google is a great mapping program for the Android devices. So we use both, and they're fantastic. Basically, they have the whole Gettysburg battlefield covered, and so wherever you're standing, we can show you exactly what happened in that location.
Right, and I think it's worth noting, and I wonder if you might be able to elaborate on it a little bit, that you had some noted historians collaborate with you on this Gettysburg 150 app.
Oh, sure, definitely. So I have a couple of the books right now. James McPherson, who is right here in New Jersey with us down in Princeton. Of course, he does not need any introduction. He was very helpful, very encouraging, and we've also had a lot of insight and writing for the app from Eric Wittenberg, who is a cavalry expert on the Battle of Gettysburg. We've had a lot of writing by Brad Schaefer and some other historians to really make Gettysburg come alive because, again, if you think about the kids, the smartphone generation, they're not going to go in and buy necessarily a 300-page book if they're just going past the battlefield on the way home from a trip. But again, if the information is immediately available, they'll learn more about it, they'll become engaged, and then they'll want to buy the book and learn more about it later on. So we just wanted to combine, the great history that's already been written, and many of the books that I love, along with the technology that's built into each smartphone, which is the GPS technology.
And do you really think this could potentially be kind of the wave of the future, when it comes to battlefields? As a way to, as you're saying here, kind of instantaneously bring that access to people?
I think so. And also, we've already seen a lot of success. So we did the Antietam 150 for the anniversary that occurred last September. And I think there's been about 6,500 downloads of the app. And at the time, that was only available for iOS. But a few weeks ago, we put Antietam 150 and Gettysburg 150 on Android as well. And the feedback we've gotten on the app stores is very positive. People love it, and it, again, just combines the great history with the GPS to make the battlefield come alive.
And now, looking at this, and I've been playing around with it on my iPhone a little bit as well, there's potential here for, I guess, your casual Civil War historian or buff to contribute to these apps potentially in the future, right?
Oh, correct, yeah. In fact, they can do it right now. There's a little bit of a glare here. They can do it right now, and a few people have. There's an add a location. And just because, we viewed the fact that we have about 175 Gettysburg locations, but, it's a big battlefield. And also everyone has, I think, important ideas either about the, general history or about maybe their specific personal history and their ancestors. So the app has a feature where you can add a location and, again, use your smartphone's camera. So the camera's built right into the phone. You can take a picture, and then the software will gather the latitude and longitude information of the location, and then you can upload it to us. And then just what we need you to do is just write a brief description. Hey, here's what happened here, and here's why I think it's important. And if it's relatively important, we'll add it to the app so that other people can enjoy your location.
And I wonder, have you had any feedback at all, specifically, say, from the National Park Service, the people that maintain and interpret these grounds? Have they been in touch at all with you? Have they found this to be very interesting?
There was one park ranger in Antietam that was very excited and very encouraging. And so when I went down to chart the battlefield, I spoke with him a lot. He was able to show me where my relatives were at the Battle of Antietam. And the other group that's helped us a lot is the Seminary Ridge Museum, the new museum that's opening up on July 1st in Gettysburg. And so we're currently, this week, adding the Seminary Ridge Museum to the app so people can find out about it. It's not only a museum, but it's an artifact, a Civil War artifact that you can walk into. You can go up up to the cupola where Buford stood as he watched the Confederates marching in from the west. So it's a rare win-win, I think, where it's a beautiful museum in and of itself, but the building is the original building. So you can go right into it and you can explore the history in the exact location where it occurred. So I'd recommend, obviously, the app, right, and the Seminary Ridge Museum that's opening up on July 1st.
And do you think this is, again, potentially just another avenue here where you're merging kind of the actual sites, public history sites, be it a museum or something, with this technology? Do you think you're going to see this partnership growing in the future at other Civil War sites?
Yeah, I think it's very possible, and I think it can apply to any location. We, as a company, so we'll do commercial apps and we'll do client work. Obviously, the Civil War work for us is a labor of love. So we have to have a day job, and so we can do systems for companies like Walt Disney World, where we chart out their theme parks, and so that people can get instant data about what's going on at the park. And again, it works really well because there's a lot of technology that people are carrying around in their pockets, and we can certainly use that technology to really better their experience of the theme park, but in this case, obviously, improve their experience of the battlefield.
Right. And do you have plans in the future here? As you mentioned, it's a labor of love. Any other battlefields down the line, aside from kind of amending Antietam and Gettysburg as well? I see your eyes widened as I mentioned that.
Well, we did Antietam.
Yeah.
First, and the reason we did first was I was so surprised that no one did Gettysburg.
Yeah.
I was shocked, and I thought some big company would come in and do Gettysburg. So we figured we'd notch off Antietam because we enjoyed it and it would give us a fun but exciting park to do. But hey, after Antietam went live, we saw Gettysburg was wide open.
Right.
We marched right to Gettysburg just like the soldiers did 150 years ago. So it's kind of hard to get bigger than Gettysburg. Uh, but as you say, we want to update it, and we want to really include everyone's input. So as
Right.
people go to the park and use the app and want to add new locations, we hope to make it really a de facto database of all the locations on the battlefield.
Yeah, and it really is a crowdsourcing venture in a sense, to some degree, that you are providing a very sound framework, and then people can add on to it. And I think the more detail, the better. And it will illuminate perhaps some lesser known parts of the battlefield, as well as kind of the staples for those who are visiting. And I imagine that this is just going to be a tremendous asset for first time visitors, as well as your grizzled veteran, if you will,
Sure.
as they head to the battlefield. So, well, JP, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit about the app with us. Again, it's the Gettysburg 150 app. It's out, available for iPhone and iPad, iOS systems, as well as Android. I really recommend it. I'm heading to Gettysburg next week. I can't wait to pull it out and use it there. Particularly the GPS feature, I think, is really phenomenal and gives you a really great sense of where you are on that battlefield, particularly as the landscape has changed. It's going to give you a really great sense. So, JP, thanks so much, and perhaps we can have you on again in the future with more updates and telling us about some of the more new and exciting features with Gettysburg 150 as well as Antietam 150.
Yeah, thanks, Dave, and enjoy your visit next week.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Take care.